Hello and welcome to that Eurovision site. I'm Shiloh. Would my guests today like to introduce themselves?
I am Daniel, and I am just about recovering from Eurovision.
I'm Angus, the number one favored professional he home pronoun user, checking in once again.
Yeah, so these are my guests for today. I should have said our tagline, which is Eurovision with a slice of life. So, slice of life here. And today we're going to be talking about the 2024 contest. Well, we're not just going to be talking about that, because if we made a video just about the 2024 contest, we would be here for several days, and that's with 2/3 of the people on this call not having actually been to Malmö. So we're just going to talk about the non-qualifiers today and what went wrong there with those 11 songs that did not do quite as well as they had hoped. We are going to kick off our discussion today with Australia. The song One Milkali, I'm probably putting that stress in the right place, but I don't know, by Electric Fields. Who wants to go first? Let's talk about Electric Fields, huh?
I can go ahead. I'm very happy to see Electric Fields finally making it to Eurovision. It's something they really clearly wanted for a while. This is not their best song. Neither inequality-wise nor in a catchiness kind of ready for the contest kind of thing, personally. At least, that being said, it was still a decent song. It was always going to be difficult to stage, and that showed with like the opening shot with like the beautiful lights on Zachariah's dress being absolutely stunning, and after that just going downhill in the staging. It felt like they had about $5 that was spent on the dress and the light, and that was a good choice, but that did mean that the rest felt unfinished. And that, they only barely missed out, and I think that is a fair reflection of how it all felt coming together. And Australia need to start throwing money at the contest again if they want to do better.
Well, when did
Because,
they stop throwing
well,
money at it? Was that like Montaigne? Was that when
I
they
think with
stopped?
Montaigne, because okay, Voyager there was some money, but that really felt like the band leading it, and the same with Sheldon Riley was his name, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that also felt like coming from the artist, like this is my concept. I'm just, taking it on a long flight from Sydney or whatever to Europe.
I'd much agree because my notes are give them more than $12 to spend on staging. I think this song in a vacuum is good enough to make a final. I think it came up against a lot of songs that were staged very well, especially towards the lower portion of the qualifiers. And I just think that a better stage show they just could have snuck in above maybe Serbia.
Yeah. Now, I don't. Here's the thing about the song. One of the traps that Eurovision artists can fall into, and Australia has done this more than once, is that they will just send, like, we're just going to send Pride Parade songs, and we don't need to put any more effort into the songwriting besides this is going to be a Pride Parade song. Like, Montaigne did this, and this is part of why Montaigne didn't do really well, because the song didn't really have any substance. Not that a lot of Eurovision songs have a lot of substance, but, like, it didn't help. But you were right, Angus, in that the staging had a really strong start and then just did not deliver. It was just sort of like awkward. I didn't have that thought about the budget at the time, but you could sort of see in terms of like, I think that in terms of like camera angles and stuff, like nobody just really knew what to do. So I just wish that they would like put some thought into the staging past the opening shot, you know? Like everybody on stage sounded good. It wasn't that like people did a bad job with what they were given, it's that they weren't given anything good.
Yeah.
Do we have any comments on how Australia could have improved, or are we like saving that bit for our initial discussion points?
I mean,
If your
also,
notes on improvement are just give them more money, that's fine.
Yeah,
you give them more money.
it is just give them more money because that song staged well can and should go through, but it wasn't staged well, so it didn't.
Yeah.
Also,
It's
maybe
yeah.
just asking previous artists who clearly want to go to Eurovision, while a good idea, maybe also listen to their song beforehand. Because again, I don't
Yeah.
think this was necessarily a bad song, but I say it's a bit pride paradey. It's also Electric Fields have done so much better also in recent years that it feels a bit like, oh, we still had this demo laying around, let's bring that to Eurovision instead of this is a song that we have faith in any kind of direction.
So do we want to talk about Poland now? This one is going to be fun because I know that Daniel and I are we're both really big fans of this song pre-show. Are we ready to open this can of worms?
Put down the horse. It's just such a weird shot that also takes so much time both before and after to set up that Luna cannot be in the camera for because she's going to lie down on the stage. Then she has to like get up afterwards. That she's off the screen for like 5 seconds before and afterwards, twice in the song, for a shot that doesn't really look any good. I remember when we saw the rehearsal videos, no one knew what it even was, but people didn't even like get that she was meant to be riding the horse. I think if you wanted to get her riding horse, you could have done it better than that. Like maybe get an extra prop or something. Just did not work, and I think it just made it seem a lot messier than it was already quite messy in a fun way, but it took it to be messy in a complicated what's going on way. And I just don't think it worked well for her at all.
See, I don't
But
remember the
but
horse at all,
but
so
other than that, it was perfect.
I don't remember the horse at all, which is I think proof that I have some more strong thoughts about the staging. But Angus,
I mean, yeah, first of all, put the glue factory to use, remove that horse. Just this and everything about the staging needed a bit of Coco Chanel, like before you go out of the house, take one thing off. Like that was needed for the entire thing. It was all
I think it was
like,
more than one thing.
yeah, per element of staging, one thing needed to be removed, basically. Because I mean, I did love the staging. It was very much giving MTV VMAs, but it's clear that the two things that like we already knew, and other countries have made this mistake this year, that the voting public does not respond well to music video style performances at Eurovision in recent years. And I think it's now also clear like these over
Is
the
that what that
top.
was supposed to be?
Well, not this one. Like that's, for example, UK this year is an
Oh, sure,
example of
okay.
that. My go-to always is like anything that looks like Benjamin Gross's 2018 entry, like those kind of
Well, don't
performances.
say that when Kittens is editing this video.
But those examples, right? And we now also see that this year, like the very big over the top, they feel as if they're ready for an award show kind of performance, where it's really like, oh, we need to break up from the boring talk and giving out awards to like a pro performance. They don't connect to audiences either. Like the audience at home apparently really wants to feel as if they're sitting in the audience in the arena. And this performance, the camera angles, the 10 billion things going on, etc., just didn't give that. Also, I said this in the fashion review, which may or may not be going up before this, but while I quite liked the outfit conceptually and everything, the hot pants weren't properly fitted. And for an outfit like this, it's so important that they're fit 100% perfectly. And it just takes away that little bit from the performance. It just doesn't help either.
So my thoughts about Poland. Um, I I think I said this in the initial Poland video with Daniel when the song dropped. This was always going to be hard to stage. I think like just because of the style of the music that it is, like the way that her voice is edited, like it doesn't really lend itself so well to a live performance. She actually sounded great live, which was a really just like pleasant surprise to me. I was really, really happy about that. And you know, like I love the song. I think that it was a really great song that is just like it's my style of music. I enjoyed listening to it in studio a great deal. But they just needed to dial back the staging like 75%. It
Yeah.
needed like a song like that needs to have a little more finesse to it, and finesse is not what we got. We got high school theater. At least in terms of that castle prop, that was high school theater. Like, you know, like the outfit and the dancers in the weird night costumes. I like the chess thing could have been cool if it had been executed a little differently, maybe. And like the intensity that the dancers were projecting was a little bit much for like the vibe of the song. Luna seemed like she was having fun, at least. It was just a lot, and I think that if there had just been like a little less intensity, a little less color, apparently not a horse. Again, I don't remember the horse because I'm so frustrated by everything else that went wrong here. Just namely that outfit. Who thought that was a good idea? Poland, please. Um like there's a you know like there's been a running joke in the Eurovision fan circles, like especially year-round circles the past few years about like how over edited like Poland staging is. They use a lot of the effects and stuff. They didn't do that this year, but they still it was a different iteration of not knowing when to let well enough alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we move on to a different can of worms. Unless anyone else has anything else to say about Poland.
No.
Now we move on to a different can of worms, which is Angus liked Moldova this year. And I'm going to bully him about it forever.
Look, I have like I don't know, something about just like the part where she's just singing but not actually there's any lyrics, like that part just musically worked for me. The staging, who thought that the staging at a Moldovan national final would be better than what we got at Eurovision itself? That's so tragic. That is just unforgivable. I mean, there were still issues with Etapa Nacional staging where Natalia was flanked by fellow violinists, but they also had a microphone in front of them, which made no sense because they weren't doing any singing. But at least that worked like conceptually, and they could have done something like that, maybe a bit upgraded for Eurovision. Instead, it was, 2007 MySpace butterflies, followed by a lovely shot of angel wings, but that was the only good part of that staging.
I just don't think this would have got through no matter what she did, because I just don't think it's competitive in 2024 Eurovision, and I don't think it's what people expect or want from Moldova either. There's, I get it's like bad to like put countries into boxes, but the box people put Moldova in is it because they do that very wide but still niche genre so well that just I think if they stick towards the strange but cultural but still like bops and stuff like that, they'll be fine. I think it's just an off year for them because even in the national final there wasn't really much, if anything, that I think could have got through this year. And I think every country is at risk of having a year like that, and this year was Moldova's.
Yeah, there just really wasn't anything of substance. Like the staging was weird and it didn't feel like it connected to the actual song. Whatever the actual song is about, which I don't know because I wasn't listening too hard.
Don't. The lyrics are there are no lyrics. Let's pretend they don't exist.
Great. Awesome. Awesome. Great words to hear from the guy who likes the song. Yeah, so I never liked this one, and I knew going into the contest that this was going to be my like 36th place or whatever. Um, but it like she didn't really have any kind of presence because the thing is that her 2007 entry is that she really had this like she had a vibe to her, like she had a sort of energy, which like, and the song was not like a particularly great song at that time. Like it was good, it wasn't like great without what they made it on the stage. And like part of that was like her presence. There wasn't any of that here. It just felt a little dead. Um, and I am genuinely stunned that this got 20 whole points from the televote. Like, I I do not understand how that happened. I don't. Sorry. And I
With
think Moldova.
Moldova,
Go
with
ahead.
Moldova, there'll always be a weird semi-final televote result with them. At least
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Every single person in the country of Romania paying to enter the rest of the world vote so they can give Moldova the juice or whatever.
5 of the points were from Portugal, and 4 were from Ireland. So
Portugal usually has such good taste.
well, I feel like and that's sort of what Raven, who did qualify, but good lord, that staging had some issues. No, sorry, it's not 5 from Portugal. It's 5 from. Is it 5 from Portugal? No, it is 5 from Portugal. It's just like Raven, for example. It's the other pop opera moment, and the televote loves a pop opera moment. And while this wasn't the full, didn't go the full hog, so to say, it did have that element of classical plus pop music in it that can just
Yeah.
like, the classical music listeners that then also tune in for Eurovision and vote, the Portuguese grandmother contingent.
Mm-hmm. Not Portugal. Moldova has really been such a hit or miss, or not. It's such a wild card in the past couple years, because they'll do really well, or they'll send something really weird that becomes sort of a cult classic, or they send something like this, and you never really know what you're going to get. Frankly, I think Moldova has been like that since I started watching the contest like 8 years ago. They've always been sort of, you never really know what you're gonna get with Moldova. Maybe they're gonna be good. Maybe it's gonna be the worst thing you've ever seen.
When
Yeah,
their
I don't
debut
know.
entry is Bunica Batitoba, I think you know the ride that you're
Yeah.
in for from then on out.
Yeah, and then they proceed to send those guys again 2 more times. I actually really liked the train song. The train song was actually really good. I loved it.
Yes. I need them again in the 2030s.
Yeah. Just, every year, every decade until they die. We want to talk about Azerbaijan now?
Not really, but I guess we have to.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
I just don't really have any opinions on this song. It's just, and I guess that translates to a lot of the televoters, I suppose, because it just a bit of a nothing burger for me. Like I think you could just remove it from the semi entirely, and there wouldn't be something missing that there would be if you like removed some other songs, because it doesn't really stand out to me at all as something that would grab a televoter's attention. I think if juries were still there, it could have done a bit better with them, but they're not. And that's something you've got to adapt to in the modern Eurovision with televote only semi-finals. And it's ballads can get televote points, but not ones like this, because it's just flat and just very forgettable, which is, I think, the worst thing you can say about a song. That no one except just a small few people will have any strong opinions on it at all. So there's no one really going out to vote for it
Except
because of
you.
that.
Except
Yeah,
you, that's
except
true.
Ewan.
I mean, the staging had nothing to do with anything. Not even
Yeah.
with it. So the 80s sci-fi B movie outfits that they were wearing, whatever the graphics were doing, the hands
There was
that
like a
appear.
creepy hand. There were like creepy hands, a
Yeah,
creepy
the
like
creepy hands
head.
showed up on stage out of nowhere, and that at least that was connected to the graphics, which was like this sort of glittering black, like stone-esque face that was moving around and washing itself with diamonds. It almost like they weren't ugly graphics. They just felt disconnected from anything.
I thought they
Uh,
were ugly. I thought they were weird. I didn't like them.
Fair. What they performed to it. Like they're good singers, both of them. I'll give them that. The song just didn't quite connect with me and seemingly with most people. I will give Azerbaijan props for now 2 years in a row trying to send in something written by Azerbaijani artists, which is a lovely change. And I do appreciate that, and I do appreciate both of the songs that have come out of that. But they're clearly still finding their feet with both Azerbaijani music scene apparently, and the broadcasts are finding their feet with, okay, if we do this approach, how do we write a competitive Eurovision song? Because
Yeah.
they haven't figured it out yet, it seems.
Well, I think that this year and last year, the staging was the worst part of anything. I think that there were ways that last year could have gone okay. And I think there were ways that this year also could have gone just better than what they got. I like this song fine. It's not, again, it's not particularly a standout. Um, especially like just with the field of songs that were in this semifinal. But it wasn't bad once I listened to it enough times to actually remember how it went, which was a problem initially. I do kind of like it. It's sort of like it's mellower and it's subtler, and there is a place in Eurovision for that if you do it well. But they didn't. They did the like space movie thing. And it wasn't even a good space movie. I don't know. I I think they made a pretty okay choice with the song this year. I just I don't know if either of you guys watched like the initial video that came out when it dropped where it was just the two of them. Like it was a professionally shot video of the two guys just like singing. Like and they were singing live.
Yeah.
It was orange. That would have been better than what we got. Like just sort of like a sort of casualness rather than they're gonna be spaceman and a bad Doctor Who knockoff. Not even Doctor Who. Like it just this staging is so it's like Poland. Like they just needed to take a step back and not do this. And this was their problem last year too. They had this whole like purple and green thing going on. It's like who thought that looked good? Who thought that looked good? I want to know, and I want them to be tested for colorblindness. Angus, are you okay?
I'm just laughing. You just want names. Shadow's like,
I do. I
I'm here
want
to share my
names.
opinions and well, share my thoughts and demand names. And I'm all out of thoughts about Azerbaijan because there are no thoughts to have.
That's right. It's really as a song, it's really middle of the road. There were songs in Eurovision this year. There were songs in that semifinal that were pretty much worse than that. And I can name names among those qualifiers too. Like I could if I didn't want to get.
Luxembourg.
Oh, there are more names that I could name, but I don't want to get canceled by some of our colleagues. My point is, Azerbaijan really needs to have a think about their staging because there have been times in the past where their staging has. Actually, is that true? No, actually, their staging has actually had the capability to be really mediocre at times. But one thing I will say about them is that they're willing to take some big swings. And that's what happened this year. And it was a big swing that just didn't really work. And so next year, unless it's thematically relevant to the song and you have a really cool, like, SM K-pop space song, don't be spacemen. If that's the lesson that they take away from this, I'm happy with that.
Honestly, they should just go like the full bizarre other way, still the same staging, but like make it like space jazz, like 70s with like nonsense sound effects. Just go the full other direction. Just say fuck it.
Okay. I guess they could do that too and see how it works for them. I will not have a good time, but we'll see. So Iceland.
Oh no. Speaking of songs that aren't very good, my main advice here is don't send Hera Bjork when Bashar
Yes.
Murad is right there. I think he would have just sailed through in like top 3 places in the semi-final. And sending a song that is more dated than her last entry from 2010 is a choice, and not a very good one. I think literally nothing they could have had to like skydive through the top of Malmö Arena. It still wouldn't have qualified because the song is just not it. It feels like it's catering to a very small demographic of like wine mums that aren't going to go out and vote for it because there's not many of them. And when I saw the results, the only thing I could say was I was surprised it wasn't 0 because it felt like a 0 point song to me.
Iceland was lucky to have Sweden voting in this semi-final.
Yeah.
And a point from Cyprus, which, well, okay. Anyway, more specific, like there are plenty of wine mums. There are plenty of wine mums voting in Eurovision, but how many wine mums are there that did like Ireland's outfit last year and also religiously post Minion memes at the same time, but are also open to this weird like women dancing in front of a window kind of energy that was on the back screen? Like if you break like this song is not memorable, this performance is not memorable. When you break down each part is like, but why? Why would anyone think this is a good idea? Every single part of it was a bad idea. The one good thing about this entire performance was Hera Björk was clearly very comfortable in stage in her little jumpsuit, and you know what, good for her.
So I'm about to make this call go totally nuclear because what I'm going to say is that this was not that bad. Was it good? No. But I mean, Bashar Murad aside, the mistake that Iceland made was sending Hera Björk. I think that I thought that this song was actually staged pretty well. It wasn't like, was it the best staging we had that night? No, but was it terrible? Also, no. And I am a little bit of a wine mom, and I do kind of like the song, like decoupled from her. I kind of like the song. It brings me back to like not even like watching contemporary Eurovision for the first time, but like being 16 and like back watching everything. And like it just like scratches a certain itch for me, and it was unique within its field in the semifinal for being that.
Unique, certainly one way of putting it.
Yeah, well, that's how I'm putting it, Daniel. But the thing is that she just sounds old. If you're going to send a song like this and you're going to stage it like this, you need to send a younger woman. That's what went wrong here. Or at least that, to me, that is the thing that went wrong here. If they could change anything. So if Iceland was like, fuck a song for Kevin and we're sending this song, we're going to internally select someone, that someone needed to not be Hera Björk. They needed to go find a 20-year-old to like really bring a sort of like party dance vibe to it and not sound like Hera Björk has this like older lady sound. She has a lot of vibrato, a lot of like sort of fullness in her voice that did not make the song sound good. Am I going to say the song is objectively good? No. Am I going to say I liked it? Yes.
You need to be bullied.
That is what you do. That is literally what you do.
I haven't even mentioned your Malta status in a while. Whereas...
Oh, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Because that brings us to the end of the semifinal 1 non-qualifiers, and we are gonna move right along to semifinal 2. Because Angus, I know you've got a lot more bullying left in you. I'm gonna give you more things to bully me about. I promise. But before we do that, let's talk about Czechia.
I
Robbed.
don't think they could have done much more. It just so happens that there was a lot of televote friendly songs this year, and quite a lot of them were in that semi-final. So
And this was
votes
a
at
really strong, and before you go any further, I'm just going to say this right now. This was a really strong year for staging.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to leave that right there and let you finish.
It was staged well. It was performed, especially relative to the national final performance, very well vocally. And it's just sometimes you come 11th. And it's just a case of dust yourself off. Hopefully they're not withdrawing and try again next year, because on the whole, in the last few years, Czechia, they're doing well.
Yeah.
Especially with the limited budget they have, they're sending good songs, and I think this is a good song that just got a bit unlucky with where it ended up. And if this song was sent next year, there's no reason why it might not qualify in a different edition. It's just bad luck.
It's I mean, it's easy to forget considering, how well Baby Lasagna did in televote, but all other rock songs did poorly in televote. To be fair, all other rock songs were thrown into the second semi-final, but only one of them qualified, did so barely. Czechia finished 11th, San Marino finished 14th. That's not a great track record for rock songs this year. And I don't want to necessarily point specific things, but just clearly none of these very different also rock songs just connected with audiences, which is a shame, but it is what it is. I think for the second year in a row, Czechia made the best use of the graphical capabilities of the stage, because I think both Vesna and Aiko really had like these they used every type of graphical capability. Also, Aiko being sort of in the cube at a point was just a really lovely shot that really utilized the stage well. Yeah, it was a good song, I think. Honestly, what could Czechia have done better? I don't think they necessarily, well, they could up the quality of the national final, because no one sounded good in that, whereas clearly Aiko is a competent performer to say the least, and I think the same is true for many of the other artists that competed. And I think that did sort of hurt the conversation, because no one really knew if I could sing this well, because we heard the pre-party
We
stuff.
were all expecting it to be a train wreck. I was expecting this to be a train wreck.
No one trusts the pre-parts anymore, and with it now taking longer and longer for the press to hear any proper version of the songs during the rehearsals, because we don't get first rehearsals anymore, we don't really get second rehearsals anymore. No one knows if the singing is good, so the conversation keeps being about like, wow, it looks good, but she sounded bad during the national final, so be warned. And then it sounded good, but at that point it's already too late to, at least in the fandom, change the conversation. And not that the fandom is all powerful, but the conversations that the press and the fandom is having does sort of like wave out into the more general reception of songs and performances as well. So I think that is where Czechia got screwed over a little. And yeah, they were just a bit unlucky with how things went.
Mm-hmm. I love this song. I think this is what, as a song itself, this is one of my favorite songs of the year. And Aiko is one of those artists where I've listened to other songs in her discography. I really like them. I continue to listen to them to this day. It's not really a Eurovision song, I don't think. Yeah, it's not really a Eurovision song. Again, like we were expecting this to go really badly after the nightmare that was the national final, and they made a lot of strides. Like it was so much better, and I was so pleased. Now, the one thing they could have done, and this is such a minor thing, but it really does nag at me. At no point in the staging do they ever put her on anything resembling a pedestal, and I think that was a massive missed opportunity. That's literally what this song is about. Give her a trophy and put her on a podium. Do it. I liked the staging that we had. I just think that they should have done that also. And would it have been the 6 points that they needed to edge out Norway? Probably not, but I would have felt better. But no, other than that, there wasn't really much that I thought could be changed. Like, it was good. There was all of this uncertainty about it. Awesome song, not for Eurovision. So 12th was Denmark.
My designated favorite ballad of the year.
Is that a ballad? I wouldn't call that a ballad.
It's well, to be fair, we didn't have many ballads to go between this year. It was slim
We
pickings.
had at least one. We had two.
We got Latvia, and then what?
We had Latvia.
Serbia, I suppose, but that's also
She Who Shall Not Be Named. And
well,
like
Albania. I don't
Albania.
count that one.
Yeah, and like Albania.
That was less of a ballad than this was, with the fucking trap beat nonsense in the bridge.
It was slower.
Fair.
We'll talk about Albania later. Right now we're talking about Denmark.
We will get to Albania.
Oh boy, we will.
I think this was anyway. Denmark song was never going to be too competitive. The MGP is having massive issues. The broadcaster clearly is just out of sync with what people want.
I just don't get how Denmark is so bad. Like, in general, with how good like the rest of the Nordics are, I don't get how they keep doing this.
They just don't know what they're doing.
That being said, I don't think we've been enough to qualify, but slightly upping just like this was a lovely outfit from the national final, but they could have just slightly, iterated on it, slightly more drama, slightly bigger, slightly more, and it would have just made the performance stand out more. Whereas now it was like, oh yeah, I guess that was a song competing. I don't remember.
I would just say stay away from Melfest rejects, please. Because it's quite clear that this is what this was because of who wrote it. I think just trust local talent because there are some good Danish writers. Use them. Don't rely on Sweden because it's not worked for you, has it? I would also have liked more sand from a song called Sand. Maybe I'm sure like the maintenance crew would just hate like picking up the sand each time, but it's the same as pedestal needing a pedestal. Go all in on the sand and making a castle out of sand because it's called Sand.
This is just 6-7 years ago, this song would have done really well. Really, it would have. 2016, 2017, when I was first watching Eurovision, this song would have done so well. And maybe that's why I like it so much. I don't think there was anything they could have changed. I really don't think there was. And I get why it didn't qualify in terms of like the televote only thing and the songs who were in this semifinal, for better or for worse. Like this, I have so much more beef with the results of semifinal 2 than I do with semifinal 1. It was just such a mess. But like I'm just so sad. I thought it was really good. I have it like top 5. Wait, actually, I'm gonna open up my spreadsheet. I need to remember where I put this. I'm pretty sure it was like second or something. I need to underscore my point here with the cold hard facts. Yeah, no, I had this third. Like out of the whole year for me personally. So that's that. It's just so sad. I think they sent a really good song 5 years too late, and it's just really sad for them.
Belgium, I think, did they not like get the memo? It's televote only semi-finals now because that felt like a performance catered to juries and only juries.
Oh, like, the song wasn't even good. The song wasn't even good.
I think the last 30 seconds of the song was good.
Yes,
And
the last 30 seconds of the song are so good. I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is like the hill I will die on about Belgium. The end of that song is so fucking good, and the rest of it sucks so much.
yeah, but the thing is, the staging for that last 30 seconds is just like him going, it's nothing. So you need to like build up to that like big ending, but he just didn't. And it was just very underwhelming entirely. And I can get why a juror would vote for it. I don't know why a televoter would vote for it, because jury they get like 10 places to go for. Televote you just get one. So why would you vote for this
He
over
was dressed
just
really
anything
well.
else? Yeah, but it's a song contest, not a fashion contest.
Sometimes.
For thoughts on the outfit, I didn't have too many complaints, but trust me, watch the fashion video. There have been complaints. I have to say, I feel bad saying this in a way, but part of me thinks this is the funniest result of the entire year, because the
Oh,
Belgian
for sure,
broadcasting,
for
including the
sure.
Flemish one, because this is from the Wallonian one, but also the Flemish broadcaster, which I actually received on TV, they kept saying like, "Oh, this is a Eurovision winner. We're bringing Eurovision back to Belgium. We're so winning this. It's in the bag." They were so like up until like, including when rehearsals were happening, they were still like, "Oh, like not even just when the song released and we had nothing else. No, up until the last moment, you're like, oh, we're winning this. We can win this." They had such faith in themselves, and I'm like, bless you.
That's
Like
so stupid.
It's so funny. Um, sorry, that's just funny to me. I think the biggest problem for Musti is like he's clearly an energetic performer, and I think when I see him, if I would ever see him at a festival or for some reason I bought a concert ticket or something to see him somewhere, I would be engaged. He does not connect well with the camera. And that's both a skill you can have and sort of a natural affinity that you can have. And I don't know if he maybe lacks some training or if he just doesn't really know how to work the camera, but this is a very dramatic performance with a lot going on, but it's also always focused on him. Yeah, I'm never drawn to it. I'm like looking at the circle of microphones, I'm looking at the smoke on the stage. I'm never like engrossed or even interested by what he's doing, despite him giving a very energetic and like powerful performance in a way. So it's just that maybe you could have done some of the camera angles, because there are some sweeping shots that really did not need to be in there that just make you feel disconnected. But in general, he needed more practice in communicating with the cameras, because that is, the portal to the viewers at home who will be voting.
His stage presence was just bad. I don't know if it was too over the top or just he wasn't connecting, or it was just his face, but it wasn't good. I didn't want to look. There were a lot of things here that Belgium did actually do really well. I liked the staging a lot. I liked the outfit, and I really freaking love that last bit of the song where like the big chorus comes in. I love that. It's so good. And then the rest of the song is just not that. And
I think they
I
should
don't know.
just give it to the Flemish broadcaster, because I think they're better.
They've had some stinkers over the years, to
Okay,
put it
but I
mildly.
think last year they gave us a very good national final, and
No, the national
Well,
final was
nobody's saying
very,
that
very
last year was
bad.
bad. Yeah.
The national final was bad.
I did. No, I trust them because of that. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
He said with a trollish smile. Like that's a trolling smile.
There were good songs in that national final. I
Yes,
mean,
that's true. I did like Carnival, and there was the other song that I liked.
yeah, sure, half of them chose their worst one, but they were still good songs.
They let Tom Dice compete. I think that's my main issue already.
yeah, just like they. Well, and can I ask a question for those of you in Europe? Like, is he like a name or something? Because when he was announced, I got the impression that he was somebody that I was supposed to have heard of. I have not heard of this man.
A Drag Race Belgium judge. I've not seen the British one, so I don't know about the Belgian one.
Musti has only been on Drag Race Belgium, which I also haven't watched. To be fair, it is also they have it exclusively in French. The thing is, Musti was like very big in the those fan contests that people have on Twitter and YouTube and God knows where all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like this was also around there between Musti and some of the other announcements. It was like, oh my God, it feels like the last Eurovision because it's a fan contest came true because all these people that have been on wish lists,
Marina
uh,
Satsi. Yeah.
Marina Satti, I believe, not too much later, the UK came through with Ole Alexander. Those kind of people are all like, oh my God, this is exactly like what we've always asked for.
It's just such
Anyway,
a shame that Bosnia didn't come back and send Olivia Rodrigo.
where was Albania with Dua Lipa? Like we could, but yeah. So that's sort of more like a very specific subset of the Eurovision fandom was very excited to have Musti. And I was like, oh yeah, I think I've heard that name. And I was like, but I've never heard his music.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if this is maybe why Belgian television was so obsessed with this, was because they were sending somebody that people had heard of. Like just anybody.
I mean, yeah, after who they haven't done it since Hooverphonic, and even Hooverphonic Take One was not.
Hooverphonic Take Two was not good.
I didn't want to say anything because I quite like this one, but I also get it was not for the contest, but the first one. Anyway, we're getting off track shitting on Belgium, which, as a Dutch person, is my favorite hobby in the world. But we have like other songs to talk about.
Yeah. San Marino. Let's start there.
I think it was staged very well, but there's only so much that staging could do because I think it's quite the same as Azerbaijan. The song just didn't really stick with me at all.
I still don't know how it
Yeah.
goes. I still don't.
No, I think if they had something like Arcadia, they would have qualified with that, with the one they sent to Benidorm Fest, but this is just by a good distance a worse song than the one they entered Benidorm with. So it just feels like very flat, even though the staging elevated it quite a lot. It like told a story and stuff like that, but it's like it was background noise for the staging at some points for me. And I remember the performance, I don't remember the song.
Yeah, I did like this song, but I think I liked it in spite of itself. I was just happy also to see Megara at Eurovision because I do think that their style and brand of music is like a nice addition to the contest. This song and the entire story about the song, because it's both a bit of a FU to the haters and on 1111 is a reference, to Make a Wish, was sort of them manifesting going to Eurovision. This is the song they should have released between. I mean, they released other music between, but between their Benidorm performance last year and actually applying to San Marino. Whereas now it was like, oh, this is the song we are also competing with, which they have written better music. Also, like after Benidorm, and like that, some of the songs would have worked better. They performed very well. This is the second time that San Marino has sent a rock artist that competed in a different country's national final, and they are just doing too much with the staging. And I don't mean too much necessarily in a fully bad way, but it is too much, and I do feel that the Eurovision voting audience is apparently not into this. And that's fair, that's fine. It is what it is what it is, but that is something that delegations need to adjust to when crafting these performances. But I genuinely thought San Marino had a shot at qualifying this year, but it's very clear that again the rock songs were underperforming this year. It was a tough semi-final to be in. That all adds up to 14th place and points wise quite far off from qualifying, sadly.
Yeah. They did an okay job with what they had, but what they had is a song that I again cannot remember how it goes. It's been months. Um Lead singer has a great voice, really good live vocals made for the kind of song that she was singing. I thought that the Monster High staging, they could have done a lot worse than that, and I think it did work in terms of like that's how I remember the song. Like I remember the song by the staging, but I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Albania
Oh.
instead, because I have so many things to say about that.
We have so much to unpack, but
Yeah.
let's just throw away the not just the entire suitcase. Like it's a Tim amount of suitcases that we have here to unpack. But you know, this
Gay
song
people.
has problems. Between, I mean, it wasn't a great song to start out with. Then they translated it, did the random trap beat nonsense. The outfit was why was there staging? I don't remember. I don't remember anything of
It
the
was
song actually. I was
blue.
just
I'm pretty sure it was blue.
I was
I think
just so
I think she had a hood or something.
I was so annoyed by the unnecessary like beat nonsense and everything they threw into the revamp that just the rest of it just flew past me. I don't remember any of it except disliking it.
Yeah. It reminds me a bit of Ronella from 2022, where you come out of Festival Kenges and you pay too much attention to what people on Twitter are saying, and then it just goes downhill very quickly from there. I think before the revamp, it had maybe an outside shot of qualifying. Afterwards, absolutely zero. No televoter worth their salt is ever voting for that because it's just bad. It doesn't work. The staging didn't do much to help, and I don't like any songs that like get an existing like song in this language and then translate it. I don't think it ever really works, and this is another example. I just think that what you have in Festival Kenges is very good, and it's very telling that when they keep it relatively loyal to what we saw in that festival, they do better when they change it. And I I just don't like it. It's just not good.
The only thing I have to add is about what they can do in the future to qualify. But
Sure, hit me with it. I think we all know what the answer is.
I mean, they clearly RTSH are floundering with what to do with Festival Ikungas. They have no clue what they're doing. They keep changing the rules. You have now the separate like televote and actual festival winner kind of situation, and then the person with the worst voice you've ever heard won the actual festival.
Okay.
Which is still question marks. All the performers are mad. The way the songs are released makes no sense. Everyone about it is mad. For the other thing, the Kenga Magika, the other Albanian song contest thing they had is cancelled now, so they're floundering to think of what they want to do. It will be interesting. They're clearly wanting to make some changes. It will be interesting to see what they change next year. In general, though, Albania, just send in the stuff you're best at, which is ballads in Albanian, because they've
Yeah.
always all been great. Like I've no, and you've had some other great, like your popular songs have been good as well, but they're very much from a pre-2012 era, which is also when you sent in most of those. So just keep it with the ballads, do some like, handkerchief choreography, red and black staging, because that's like it's your flag, it's your bread and butter, it looks great. Yeah, just keep doing that.
I think, especially a country with such a big diaspora, I think they're going to get more excited for a Duye than they are for a Titan. And that was, I think, a big part of why it just failed. Because
Yeah.
Albanian family values trump whatever that was.
Yeah, Albania does this all the time, where they have Festivali Kungas and a song wins. It's not like maybe it's not my favorite, but there are parts about it where I'm like, okay, I can get into this. And then they announce that they're going to make some changes and they've taken out everything I like about the song. They have been doing this forever. And I like that when they have not really revamped, like last year they only had a little one, and I think it was 2019 I'm thinking of as well that was good. Like they haven't changed anything, and they've made the final, and so clearly there is a lesson to be learned here. Keep your lyrics in Albanian because your English lyrics are bad. Keep the guitars because the weird rock vibes that are in every single Festivalia Kunga song are actually pretty unique and like a really decent hallmark of the Albanian music scene, despite the fact that rock entries this year didn't really do well. Like don't even worry about that. You took the rock out of your entry and it did worse than any of the rock songs. Like guys, this should really be a slam dunk for you. It's so obvious, and it just makes me so mad. And the staging was so bad. It was just such a nothing song. It was so nothing. Like it could have been maybe the original song, maybe Zemrandor as it was in Festival Ikungas, like maybe it wouldn't have qualified, but I would have liked it. This, I don't know what to do with this. And we say this every year. Everybody says this every year that they need to not do this anymore. And some years they listen and they make the final, and then the next year they go and they change things again. And it's like, what are you doing? I just don't know what we can do for them at this point. If they're not going to come to that realization on their own, no amount of people on Twitter yelling at them is going to work.
Can I just say, like, just to remember, I know there were a lot of like strong televote songs in this semi-final, but last year Albania got 12 points from the rest of the world voting, which includes also, Kosovo is included in that, America, like people like large Albanian speaking population. This year they got 0 points from rest of the world.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yikes.
They got 5 points from Greece, 4 from Italy, 3 from Switzerland, and then 2 from the non-existing San Marino televote.
Right.
I think if Albania are only getting 3 from a Swiss televote, something's gone wrong.
Let's talk about Malta.
I think that Sarah did like literally everything she could on that stage, but it just wasn't enough with a song that wasn't enough. I think she is a very good performer. I think with a better song, she as a performer can do very well. But this song just wasn't it. The lyrics are strange, and I don't think there's anything else in the Maltese selection this year that would have qualified. I think I was very unlucky to come last. I think it's a second year in a row.
It was not deserved.
A second year in a row where I'm looking at Malta coming last in the semi-final. I'm like, come on, really? Because they deserve to do better than they are, which, especially for a small country, is just such a shame. Because they've got potential, and I think they are just slowly getting towards a point where they can realize it. But things still aren't like great. But I think they can become good, and they're sort of on the right track. So I can maybe see a qualification next year, but you just never really know with Malta. But I think they can be very good when they want to be. They just very rarely want to be.
I think they always want to be. They just have no idea what good is.
Yeah.
And frankly, sometimes neither does the televoting audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. To quickly talk about the Maltese selection process, because MESC was rougher than usual this year in some ways, even though the show was better, I'd argue.
Oh, the format of MESC this year, oh my god.
MESC has no identity. Well, okay, no. MESC has a specific identity among the the people watching it, the Eurovision fans. It's not a good identity to have.
Yeah.
With that being said, the song, I mean, it's basically Cyprus 2018 take 5 now at Eurovision, if you're being uncharitable, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And I quite like this song. This is what of the the Mediterranean dance pops that are just have a dance break and
Yeah.
are pretty much about nothing, or just watch me on replay. Sorry, on loop. Um, this is one of the better ones, but in this semi-final, it also went up like not only did it go up against other pop songs, it also went up against another loud, in-your-face, female-sung, dance break heavy pop track in
There were
Georgia.
3 of those.
Yes, but most the clearest competition because they're basically the same. Like they're very different, but they're also basically the same song.
I do
It's
think Georgia is
Georgia.
basically that but better. So
I don't
you're
think Georgia
going.
was done all that well. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying clearly the audience gravitate towards it because that's
Yes,
also
yeah,
also when you
sure.
have two songs that are structurally and in a certain way visually so similar
Mm-hmm.
that you then get this issue of like, well, people are going to vote for one or the other, especially if you
Yeah.
don't have juries, and even the juries can be sensitive to like, well, this one we have a direct comparison. This one is better than that one, so we put a bunch of songs in between it. And there were also other songs. I mean, it also had to go up against something like Austria and Greece, which are like different variants of pop songs sang by a
Oh, if
woman.
you get me started on Greece, we're gonna be here all day.
Oh, don't worry. I had thoughts, but the thing is more like it had tough competition, like direct competition in a semifinal that was already tough to get out of. Which is also sort of like not their competition, but the tough to get out of semi is literally what Malta also had to struggle with last year. This is a song that would have done better with jury because they would have graded high on the performance aspect. And Sarah Bonici sang very well, especially
Oh, she
considering
was so
Yeah.
good.
all the choreo she had to do. Just if we're talking about the issue of breath control in Eurovision, and I know Shadow's had faults about that because God knows it's been a problem. This is one of the songs that shows that what you should be doing. Like this is how it should be. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. Like Malta needs to find some. I think mess. Yeah, I think in the end, the national final itself is the problem. I do think the
Yeah.
broadcaster is aware of that, and they're trying to figure something out. But they're also working with no money after the entire "we're betting on ourselves" debacle from a few years back.
I don't know this story.
In 2021, basically, apparently a lot of money was spent not only on advertising Destiny, but also getting her up in the betting odds by putting money into the betting agencies, which is especially easy for Malta because, as a partially historically UK, used to be part of UK, so they have more connection with UK betting odds that everyone always reports on. So there was a bit of and after that fallout, it's like, okay, TVM is getting less money for their Eurovision stuff, which fair, but it is
I think
clearly hampering
I
them.
think maybe just like 1 year of an internal might do well for them. If
Yeah,
if but only if they know that they have a good song for it, not just
literally
going
just send
sometimes for the
Sarah
sake of it.
Benici again. She was so good.
But it's also an issue of running order because Sarah was literally she had to open the second semi-final,
Yeah.
which was not good news for her.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a song that should be opening a contest
Mm-hmm.
or a night. That's not what this song is for. This is more for closer than an opener.
Yeah.
Of course, she was always, she was put in the first half, but even then,
Yeah. I think that ultimately Malta's issue, like it's just a too many cooks situation. Like for this song, and I know that this is gonna be bullying Shiloh fodder for the end of time. This was good. I really liked it. I genuinely really enjoyed it. I went into this contest thinking, oh, this song is gonna be nothing. It's like fine. And then I watched it and I was like, they're gonna bully me about liking Malta forever because I really like this. Um, they're like in terms of what went wrong here, like 7 songwriters, a little much.
10 for if you include the revamp. There's 3 more
Yeah,
credited for the revamp, which is wild.
right. Like a little much. Just a little bit. Just a bit. I really, one of the things that I think should happen is they need to impose a limit on how many people can be credited as songwriters for a song. I've been thinking about this lately anyway, but also like the way that MESC works, where they just have this massive amount of songs and it gets drawn out forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Like that's part of the problem, because you're giving people so much shit to choose from that the broadcaster, the audience, nobody involved can really devote their attention to making any of those things actually like stand out.
Yeah, I really don't get why they did the whole semi-final thing first, like months before the final, and secondly, just the format they did it where all of the songs from a semi-final can NQ. It just really strange that they've decided to do that. I think they would really benefit from maybe like a 6-song national final instead of so many that most people in their right mind will not listen to because there's just too many.
And this is just kind of hard because if you like look up like Sarah Bonici's like history at all, she's actually like been involved in Eurovision circles for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like I guess her longtime voice teacher like went to the contest in the 90s, and she tried to go to junior Eurovision several times, and like this is her thing. This is what she does, and she's not even that old. I think she's only like a year or two older than me.
Like 25 or something.
Yeah, she's 25, so I guess she's 2 years older than me. It's just hard. Like she did really well, and this has clearly been something she's been working towards for a long time. And look, I like complaints I have about other songs that qualified second night aside, like this just didn't deserve to be dead last.
Yeah.
Albania was literally right there.
Yeah.
They lost it to Albania by 1 point. And I just think that that's stupid.
I think in terms of returning artists, I think Sarah Bonici is one where I can say, yeah, I think she can come back and give us something new. And it wouldn't just be Loop 2.0, it would be something completely different. And I think
I want to see it. Out of everybody from this year, like she's somebody I would really love to see come back. Did you have more? I'm sorry.
Not
I'm very
really.
interrupted
It's
today.
just she's got the voice, she's got the choreography skills, she's got the talent that she deserves better than a last place. I think in the future she can rectify that, hopefully.
Yeah.
She deserves better mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
do
she
we
can help
have
San Marino qualify again. I think that might actually not be a terrible fit.
You know, now that you say that, yeah. There's a world where that happens. I think there's a world where that happens. Anyway, do we have any final thoughts about the NQs this year?
Not particularly. Other than Iceland, please get rid of the super final. It served its purpose when Sister won. Just get rid of it now. Now it can do no more damage.
Yeah, super finals in general need to go.
Yeah, just bin them off.
So thank you for watching that Eurovision site. If you enjoyed this video, you can leave a like, you can hit subscribe, you can check us out on all of our social media. We have everything, truly, for the latest Eurovision news. You can also leave as many comments as you want telling us how right or wrong we were. We welcome comments even if they're mean, because that's how the internet works these days. And do any of you guys want to like plug your own social media or anything?
It'll be in the description probably.
Yeah. Those two will have their social media in the description. I won't, because I'm trying to step back from the internet a little bit. You can also check out that Eurovision podcast wherever you get your podcasts once we start recording podcasts again. which we'll get back to soon. Now that
This might
Eurovision's
be
over and
uploaded
people
as a
aren't dead.
podcast.
Yeah, this might be. You might be listening to this and being like, what do you mean? Go find that Eurovision podcast. I'm listening to it right now.
In which case you can follow at that Euro podcast over on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Again, even if you don't have something nice to say, please say it. We want that sweet engagement. Thank you for watching and goodbye.